These are the 3 questions you need to ask if you want the seller to give you their asking price. Check it out.
This is your host and real estate coach, Rafael Cortez. You are listening to the REI Wholesaling Podcast, where every week I bring you the real-life case studies and strategies you need to level up your real estate wholesaling business. If you haven't done so yet, go to reiwholesaling.com. Again, that's reiwholesaling.com. Sign up and get free access to your Wholesaling 101 course. This free training teaches you step-by-step everything you need to close your next wholesale deal and start making big money now.
Fam, what's up? Welcome back to the Wholesaling Business Blueprint Series, Wholesaling 101. Let's have that weird conversation with the seller, okay? How do you get to the point, even if you're really good at having conversations with sellers, when you're beginning, it's gonna be tough to get to that point where you're asking for the price, right? It feels intrusive. It feels like you're getting up in their business. And sometimes people choke. People choke when it comes to the point of the beginning of the negotiation, right? How do you get the seller to give me their asking price? How do I don't break the rapport that I spent 2 hours creating through that phone call or through that home visit and that walkthrough of the property? Well, this is exactly how you're gonna break it down, right? So I'm gonna give you the top 3 questions that you need to ask sellers if you want them to give you their asking price, all right? So the price that they're thinking. And consider this, right? The first number that they throw out there, it's never the number. It's never gonna be the number. It's a point of beginning, all right? The first number that they throw out there is gonna be the point of beginning, but now you have something to pull the thread on, right? So now you have a conversation to get to. And this is how you open that up, right? Before I jump into those, please subscribe, like, and share if you like the content that I'm putting out there for you on a regular basis. Help me spread the word. Every time you share, you drop a comment on it, the algorithm picks it up, and a lot more people listen to what we have to say, right? So with that being said, let's move right into it. So question number 1, right? Question number 1. Again, this is if you're trying to get the seller to give you their asking price. The first one is gonna be very, very straightforward. And it goes like this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, considering that we're gonna be paying all the closing costs, there's no repairs, and you don't have to worry about a thing on this property. Where at a minimum would you have to be to consider an offer, right? The key word there is gonna be at a minimum. You're already putting them in that space, right? So there's always gonna be a range. They're gonna go high and then they're gonna have a minimum. More than likely, it's not gonna be their bottom number, right? Every now and then you may get lucky and get that bottom number, but it's more than likely not gonna be it, right? So, but now there's a couple of things happening. If you're into NLP or any of that stuff, you're creating a framework for where the offer is gonna be, where that conversation is gonna have to be, steered to, right? So where at a minimum would you have to be to consider an offer? That's gonna be question number 1. Do not be offended, do not feel bad if you don't get an offer and then they start saying, well, you contacted me, you came here to give me your offer. I wanna hear your offer. I wanna say I wanna see what you have to say about this property. The other properties in my neighborhood are selling for, $500,000. That's what I want, even if it's a $400,000 property, right? So you're gonna get that kind of stuff, playing into it. Do not be offended. Just kind of backtrack a little bit, and then go back into the condition of the house. Maybe dig in a little deeper and self-discoveries. Oftentimes it takes a few tries to get the number out of the seller, right? And sometimes you just have to drop your offer, but this is the 3 questions that we present, right? Now, question number 2, it's non-abrasive, really. You're not going into it as direct as you were. They already know that you want the price, right? But on question number 2, you start doing a little bit of research. You ask them, what is the current balance on the mortgage of the house, right? So that's what you want to find out. They're going to give you an estimate. They're going to say, well, I don't know exactly, but I think we owe $250,000 on this property. So if you take that now, you make a note of that number, and then that's where question number 3 comes in, right? If they don't give you a mortgage balance, you still want to press on that a little bit, and you want to make sure that because they're going to ask you, right? They're going to feel like you're overstepping boundaries sometimes because you're asking for private information. And this is very important information to have because it's going to be one of the defining factors on how you structure the offer, right? So you're going to ask them, what's the mortgage balance on the house? They're either going to tell you a number or they're going to say, I'm not going to give you that information. And if they say that they're not going to give you the information, you press a little harder and you ask them, well, we need to make sure that we're able to even come close to an offer that makes sense, because if the house is upside down, there's really not much that we can do about it, right? So you can use that when you're explaining the rationality behind you asking that question. Now, if they do come back and they say, well, I owe about $245,000, right? You take that number again and then you just make a note of it, go back into the discovery of the conversation, maybe talk about the condition, talk about the timeline, talk about any situational motivators and whatnot. And later you're gonna come back and you're gonna ask him. So after it's all said and done and you sell the house and ready to move, how much money do you need to have in your pocket? Okay, that's a big question. It's the second part to that question that we just asked, right? Because you're gonna put two and two together. If they say, well, I need to have at least $50,000 in my pocket, free and clear, right? You know that their sales price is gonna be around the $300,000 range, or that's what they're thinking. They may not verbalize it, and when you ask for a direct number, they may give you, 400,000. But when you do the math a little bit, and just kind of break down the question in a couple of sections, they usually come back with a mortgage balance and then what they are thinking that they need to walk away with, cash in their pocket, and then you just put two and two together, and now you have a basis, all right, of what you need to offer. So this is a really good strategy on how to get to that seller price point if they're not really budging on giving it to you in the first place, right? So it's very important. It's important to have at least an idea of what the mindset is when we're talking to sellers, right? If it's not going to be a retail deal, then there may be some play in it. Now, if there's not enough equity on the property, you can consider different structures like creative financing. We talk about all that kind of stuff in the coaching program. But it's important to have, again, just a good foundation of where the numbers can be and what they are thinking they can sell for, right? So these are 3 questions that you need to ask your sellers if you're trying to get a sales price out of them. Now let's get proactive and go have conversations out there, right? Do not be afraid about planting seeds, about having those conversations and digging deeper. If you feel you're being intrusive or maybe too nosy, when you're going through a script, through a conversation, test yourself. Try to pressure yourself to go a little bit further in each one of the conversations until you get to the point where you're dropping these questions in the most confident manner possible, right? Because it does make a difference. If you're asking something in the tonality, the demeanor that you're asking that question in is very natural, is very easy flowing, they're gonna consider it that. But if you make it sound like it's a very dangerous thing or almost like a prohibitive question that should not be being asked, and you feel apprehensive or you're just insecure about how you're pitching that, how you're asking that question, that's how they're going to take it, and there's going to be a lot more pushback, right? So just consider that kind of stuff, and then take a note of these 3 questions that you need to ask the sellers if you're trying to get an asking price out of them for your wholesale deals. Now, again, do me a favor, subscribe, like, and share. If you know somebody who needs to listen to this information, just push them over to the channel. Let's keep doing good things, right? Stay focused. You got this. Fam, thank you for listening. Every week I bring you the real, the raw, the mindset, the case studies, and the strategies you need to build your own successful real estate wholesaling business. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and don't miss out on real life experience and information that can make you millions. It's time to join the ranks of successful wholesalers and take advantage of one of the biggest opportunities that we have in our lifetime to generate wealth. So go to reiwholesaling.com. Head over to my website, again, that's reiwholesaling.com, and learn how to make big profits, make big money by finding, negotiating, and closing wholesale deals from your own backyard. You've heard the stories, seen the case studies, stop thinking about it, it's time to write your own. Again, head over to reiwholesaling.com, click on coaching program, book a discovery call, have a conversation with my team, and you might get an invitation to join hundreds of students throughout the country who are leveling up on a daily basis. The writing is on the wall. Hustle is a season. It's not a business strategy. Take action, start building a sustainable and scalable real estate wholesaling business, and join the coaching program today. I will catch you guys on the next one. Talk to you soon. Stay focused. You got this.